The Deep Dive presents the Fifth Year Option NFL Draft Podcast with Andy Molitor and Vegas Refund, powered by BetSperts.
Ooh. Season finale. Will there be a cliffhanger? Yeah, there's going to be like 31 cliffhangers. This is a conversation I just had with producer Dan 5 minutes ago. At this point in last year's draft, Luke, Vegas Refund, my awesome cohort in this whole project, how many guys do you think you could say, like, I know which team this player is going to 24 hours out? Like, did we have like 1 and 2 were kind of locked? I feel like we had 8, maybe 3, 5. I feel like I have 1 this year. It's everyone's like, oh, it's such a crazy draft. Kind of is. There's been just the teams in the leverage positions this year have been kind of tight with their info. There just hasn't been the leaks that we wanted, and there could be some goddamn carnage from like 2 through 10, not only in betting, but a lot of them. I think there's gonna be some pretty shitty scores in the mock drafts from the big mock draft nicks this year. I don't know. Is that where you're at?
It's funny because every year you see guys like Schefter saying no one knows anything, it's going to be chaos, etc. We're hearing it a lot this year, but I'm hearing it from a lot of people that you normally don't hear it from, where it seems like all the mock drafters or whoever it is are somewhat hedging their bets already and like basically preparing for like these bad scores that you were just implying and saying it's chaos and no one knows anything. And I'm just seeing it a lot more from everyone than just like the normal people.
No, yeah, you do see that from like it's funny, like let's say the Trayvon Walker, like it was like a few days out that the market, the people in general had decided like, all right, it's gonna be Trayvon. Like, here we are. This is where we're at. And you still see, like, McShay tweeting out, boy, anybody could go at 1. We still have, like, 2 or 3 guys. And, anything can happen, like, because they have to do that. But this year, it's for real. Like, there's a distinct lack of information coming from a few teams who are important. That said, I think you and, honestly, myself as well, and most of the guys who've, been at it in the Deep Dive DGens Discord, the guys in the draft chat with us, drafting or get the fuck out, whatever it is. They've done a good job of setting themselves up with some, hey, this is why we talk about taking some long shots. Be like, hey, this number might not happen, but if I have an 80-1 on this, I'm a lot more comfortable dumping a bunch of money when limits go up on another one. So there was some.
Need the Deep Dive Discord is like my favorite. Like out of like if there's a rookie of the year candidate that we've discussed, it's that Discord, which you've brought 0 value to for what it's worth. Like actually negative value. Whale pops in here and there. But you should make a celeb appearance at some point today if you know where it is.
I do. That's the thing. I read that Discord all the time. And I just like to be like the, the freak in the corner smoking in the dark.
Just the worker taking all the value and bringing on.
Taking all, well, and it's fun too. Like what that's grown to. Dude, that was like 30 dudes, if that. Like that's what it started out. Just a bunch of people who were in the YouTube comments there was like 1 channel. When did it was like a year ago. How that's grown has been amazing. So
and whoever ran it came out of the woodwork and was ready to change the name, which I'm not going to say the name on air or whatever because everyone was like no, because it's kind of like it's like the camouflage to hide from like the freeloaders just jumping in late to the party, or like your friend that asked you, can I get some draft bets today? Like they can just F off at this point. Like we've gotten months of bets and work and blood, sweat, and tears gone into this. If you want bets now, like just F off. Like I'm hesitant to like even give anyone like a buddy a text because you've done nothing. You haven't earned anything.
There will be bets that are made within the next 24 hours for myself. I'll have a bunch. There's always something that comes out late. I'll do my best. This will be my contribution to the Deep Dive DGen. Once I've got down everywhere I can and I've texted like my besties, I'm kidding. I'll just get down. I'll make sure make sure I have my money's right, and then I will drop anything I have. Like we will be dropping what we can into the Deep Dive DGen's Discord if we get any information late. Like last year, we got some, or 2 years ago, the Trey Lance is going 3, came in from a good source. But seriously, that was like an hour before the draft started. And you're not going to be able to bet at some legal shops at that point, but man, the offshores keep that shit up until way too late. Before we get into, people are calling for a gut mock. People are saying gut mock. I think we do a gut mock right now.
I've coined the phrase gut mock.
I know it. It's here. Trademark Vegas refund.
I mean, that's what we're about to do. Let's effing light this candle.
I do want to, real quick before we go gut mock, I do want to talk live betting. That used to be a thing that basically was just Bet Online had it. And basically they had a two-way market before the next pick. And it was like Cleveland Browns pick. And, if we were on the 8th pick, it'd be like the 10th. And it's like Cleveland Browns, offense or defense. And they'd set a line. Like that was it for live betting. And to be fair, that's a great example because it was the year of all the offensive tackles 2 years ago, I believe. And it was like, hey, Cleveland Browns minus 300 to draft an offensive player. And that should have been minus, 30,000. They were going to take whatever offensive lineman was left, and there'd only been one off the board. So basically, like, they were in a really good spot to draft a tackle anyway. So, I mean, it's kind of the things like, will they let me put my whole account on this kind of thing? This year, it sounds like they are going to have some pretty good offerings at DraftKings.
Yep.
Yet to see.
I would guess
We'll keep talking to Julian.
I would guess it's live betting with stupid juice, like 400 range, like to the side that is favored. And basically you're probably going to only be able to bet in like the outliers of like long shots where.
Yeah. Well, it made it sound like there was going to be 1 through 10 was going to be what player goes here. And obviously they can't keep it up very long. Or maybe they have to be 2 picks behind at that point. Or 2 picks ahead rather. But then it said 11 through 31 was going to be position, where they were just going to list, all the positions and you could bet into that, which there might be some value as you go. If there's a run on something and it was a team was between a tackle and a defensive lineman or something, and there's a run on the offensive lineman, maybe there's going to be some value. It'll be interesting. I legitimately am tempted to drive.
I had a good one.
Watch the draft in my fucking car in Iowa.
I had a good. I forget who it was. I'm trying to think of this team, but why don't we fire? Let's
gut mock because this is going to be easy to start with. So, all right. It looks like we have Carolina trading with Chicago here. So we're just thank you PFF. And also, hit the like button if you want to do the gut mock. No gut mock until we hit 100 likes. I'm kidding. I'm just going to start this now. So we're fine. We're fine starting the draft. Okay, we got one out of the way. We drafted Bryce. I did that without your okay, but I'm sorry.
So the 2 options here, which our bets are going to go undefeated in this mock draft. FYI.
Should we do what we think is most likely or what makes us the most money? Money, right?
I mean, let's do what we think is most likely. Based off of all.
Let's say the name on 3. 1, 2, 3, go, and then we'll say who we want to take between the 2 players here. Because are we just at the point we're saying Will Anderson can't go second?
No, this is like this is the one pick we should do that with because there's like 2 options we want.
Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Tyree.
Oh, there we go. Nice. There it is. How far down do I got to go? This is what I hate about, and I guess I could search. Did I go past him? This is what happening? My goodness. There we go.
The PFF, their rankings.
Yeah, their rankings are kind of janky.
But they just changed it because I guess the guy who set them left and they completely redid them. Or like Bijan was like in the 30s. All right, second one. This is like there's
Do
three
we do a
scenarios.
trade? Do you want to do a trade here? Here, real quick, kind of timeout on the gut mock. Do you think there's a chance there's a trade between now and when the draft starts? I think if we get to the draft, the odds of this pick changing hands is very low. Do you think there's a chance that this gets traded in the next 24 hours? They're taking calls for sure.
I feel like it will be. I don't think today, possibly tomorrow. I think if it does happen, it'll be tomorrow. But it's feeling less and less likely, honestly. And if I was to make odds on like what pick gets traded first, which you would have to do like 2 teams per, but like just for fun, I would probably list it. The favorite, I would say 8, and then I would say 5, and then 3 in that order. I don't know what the odds would be, but and the only reason 3 is because I literally have no idea who they're going to trade with right now. Like, and I try to like finagle it when I'm doing my own mocks, but like you want to do Raiders, but like then you don't think they're going to do a quarterback, and then Titans, but they don't have enough to go up. Colts, the swap, it's like why? Because no one's getting like the quarterbacks aren't good enough, and then yeah, I mean that's the only reason I would put it at least likely because I mean unless they just take a huge discount, which they probably should at this point, just
they honestly should just take what they can get. I feel this is the Lions, this is the Lions pick from 3 years ago where it's like, man, do you really want to take a cornerback at 3 guys?
Exactly.
Like you should trade this for anything you can get because the value you're getting at this point is kind of low. That said, it feels dumb to say like, hey, getting Will Anderson or somebody else like here is bad. Well, so I'll let you make this pick. Let's say no trades.
I do want the Lions.
No trades.
The Lions pick years ago, and for what it's worth, they were taking Tua. Like I truly think they were.
I believe that in my heart,
which is part of the reason probably why they didn't trade out until they didn't. But that's a great example. 3.
I'll let you make it. Unless you just want to do a Colts trade for shits and giggles.
Let's go. Let's go Paris.
Okay. This has been getting a ton of steam in the market. This has been a whole thing. My God, I'm just going to use the freaking search tool from now on. God damn it, PFF.
And I truly don't, for whatever reason, I don't know why I'm buying into this one, but I just am. Like,
you are more than me, and I'm fine doing this because it's gotten a lot of steam. And there's some people that I know, some folks that have some sick ass numbers on this happening. But yeah, this has gotten a lot of steam. I was always fine with him over Skoronski, I guess, for like top OT, but I was never really of the mind that we'd see an offensive tackle before like 7 or 8. So far, I'm rich, says Patrick, which is that's the way we want it to go. So
if we could cash out draft CLV, like we'd be buying an island.
All right, FanDuel has this trifecta at 1,100 right now. If you want to bet trifectas, Bodog/Bovada had a fun one where you can predict the 6th and 18th picks. I don't know how they treat it if the Lions trade one of those, if they just void all bets, but I was having fun with that. With it was going to be Witherspoon and Maisie.
In the 1,100 odds, like if those trifectas came out before these Paris rumors, this top 3 would probably be in like the 100-1 range.
Yeah, I was going to say 75-1 or something along those lines. So, all right, are we dumping a quarterback then here?
Levis.
Yeah. But are you sure you want to do that? PFF has Stroud first.
Pretty sure.
Okay, we'll go Levis. He does fit. He's their guy. Let's
do a trade here.
It's been months. It's
trade.
Months.
Is trade like just not? Should we do trades or just no trades? Let's no trades.
Let's do a pact. No trades and a gut mock.
Okay. So I think Jalen here kind of just it is what it is, and Staten might be taking one on the chin.
Yeah, so we're gonna go against Staten, even though one of the best guests, and no disrespect to all the great guests over the years on the deep dive and everything I've ever done. One of the best guests we've ever had. Love him for hopping on with us. That was a lot of fun. So sorry.
It's just one the under's gotten destroyed the last 24 hours. It's conflicting reports. Like, really, the only reason I'm like not totally bought in to it, and it's not even stat, and it would be like Jeremiah and I think Schrager on the podcast a couple days ago have said they're out, which of course those are probably two of the guys we respect the most. But it's just kind of just defaulting where
So
it
I
could have.
want to do a timeout on this. So Luke, let's say Rob's right, his sources are right, everything we know about Seattle was actually true, and they go Will Anderson here. Like what are we doing?
Like if Jalen doesn't
how far does Jalen go? If we miss him at this spot, the Lions moving off a corner, let's say
like
Will Anderson goes there.
He's either going 5 or 9, or maybe 7 if the Eagles trade up. Where like the Eagles trading up to 5 was rumored yesterday. There was actually a good beat reporter article about the cap restraints that the Seahawks are in, and it gives them more cause to trade back, which those trade rumors kind of were like somewhat correlated with the steam on the under. I don't want to say it's related, but that would be a trade I would be okay with, because that's one trade that not a lot changes in the top 10, because Seahawks go to 10. I think they still take Nolan. Eagles are at 10. I think they take Nolan if he's there. And then like I think the same guys get taken at 5 and 10 if they just trade.
And that's right. So I'm still out on Carter going to the Seahawks, but the amount of money that is coming in on the under has kind of come in at the right places. Like, and you're right, Eric. And this is steam chasing, but this isn't a bunch of people betting at legal books based off a Reddit post. Like, where the money came in on the Carter unders is very important to me, because it came in through groups, through people who move money. It came in at spots where big money that was correct last year, correct in the NBA draft, correct on other things were. So like the money for Jalen Carter unders is, and it can still be wrong.
It came in from people that aren't on Twitter, that don't go on podcasts to tell everyone how much they're betting, et cetera. Like it came in from at the spots that,
and I know groups moved on. I mean, a lot of, and that's the thing too, that the devil's advocate to the money coming in at the right spots. You don't know what those people have in their portfolios. Like there is a lot of money that moves through stuff like that that's correct or incorrect, and some of it is just like I have to buy out of positions by doing this. Like that's where I'm very conflicted on Jalen Carter. If the money is in the right spots and it's more of a buyout, then I guess we are chasing shitty steam at that point. So
and
I'm very conflicted by this.
This is one of the spots that outside of Bryce feels like as we get closer is becoming clearer in terms of Jalen going 5. But yeah. And this would be the scenario that pushes Witherspoon's over.
Yeah.
Like Witherspoon to the Lions is probably one of the more consensus picks in the mock drafts that everyone's been assuming. And
I already have them queued up here. Should I just click it?
So you think they would take Witherspoon over Anderson?
This is tough. This is where I get in a weird spot with Jalen.
Yeah, which
I kind of want to. I haven't pulled trigger on this yet. I kind of want to bet a Jalen Carter over his position right now with the current prices.
I would not be against that. Like we are so like up in the air. Like it's not something. It's not like the over at plus money isn't something I would like give out or put out or whatever. But like there's clearly value on the over, like quote unquote, because it is an unknown, and very eager to see where Jeremiah has him in his mock later. But I don't think the Lions would take Witherspoon over Anderson.
That's where I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed at like where this draft went. We went Paris Johnson at 3, so
we could. Do you want to swap Paris out?
Well, I'd have to start the draft over.
Like, I mean, if you you could just change 3 to Anderson, and then it falls how you want, and we could.
Can you go back on these? Like you got to start all over.
Yeah, we're only 5 in.
You want me to scrap this?
Dude, it's your call. You're upset.
Reloading. Look at this. Starting all over. Scrapped it. All right, let's scrap
This would be
TJJ.
very against the mock draft, the gut draft principles. There's no
Yeah,
redo.
let's do gut. All right, Bryce.
No, we can't. You have to go Anderson now. Like
we're going Anderson 2?
No, Tyree.
Okay, Tyree. All right,
Anderson.
we're redoing. I want Jalen moved down then. All right, are we still at Levis then?
Yep.
Okay. All right, then we go Anderson to Seattle.
No, Jalen, then Witherspoon.
Excuse me. We already took Anderson Scarlett. So you still want Jalen Carter.
Yep.
All right.
And now we go Witherspoon.
Okay.
The chat's
now
probably like losing.
We're in less of a weird spot now. The gut mock went to hell. We can't do that. That was our one breakfast ball.
We start this with like it's chaos and we redo because we don't want chaos. It's fine.
It's not a gut mock, it's a butt mock. Damn it.
So I would say 7 here. I think this is prime spot for Paris.
Yep. That's fine. I'm fine with that. We kind of have at this point we have a quarterback kind of hanging out there, not sure what we're gonna do with it.
So and this is the trade spot I would say likely because we got 2 quarterbacks falling, where we have the Titans and the Texans at 11 and 12, and the Falcons trading back with one of those teams are very likely to get the same guy they were going to take at 8 that they'll be getting at 11 and 12. And the only thing that would cause hesitation for that, I would say, is if they are in love with Nolan, they might not want to because the Eagles could take him at 10, but that wouldn't be an issue if the Eagles trade up, or if they're not in love with him because there's a bunch of there's 3 guys here that they could take at 8 and one of the 3 would be at 11 and 12. And but I would probably default to Nolan right here.
Yeah, that's where I'm fine with that. I mean, it just they've been linked. It's a need. They have a lot of needs. They're not going to take the 4th quarterback. I don't think they can take a wideout. I don't like him obviously corner was a need. It's not really anymore. I mean, it still kind of is that, which leads us to the Bears. And most Bears fans are under the feeling that they cannot screw this pick up. Because they're just all the things they want are going to be there. Either one of the top 2 defensive players drops, or they just get the tackle of their dreams. They can take anything they want here and not screw up. And yeah, we're kind of at a spot where Gonzalez is now hanging out there. So where are you sitting on Bears here at 9 if we go this way?
And I know this is against it feels against the grain, it is. And I mean,
it's a gut mock. I need you to gut this one.
I mean, everything we hear, it could be Darnell, but then you hear other things about Darnell falling like far, where I think if Jalen was here, Otto.
Yep.
I think everyone defaults to that image that came out about the Bears draft board and what they need, et cetera, and Skoronski not fitting the length and the measurables that they value so much, but continue to see people that I respect put him there. I'm not going to put him here, but he's definitely in play. I don't think he's just deleted off of their board for those reasons.
No.
This would be another prime trade back with 2 QBs on the board. I would say one of the tackles you pick. I want my bet to go undefeated, so I can't go Darnell. If Darnell doesn't go here, I think he falls. But
I mean, no real linking to Broderick Jones here.
You can go Darnell. Darnell's fine.
I mean, let's go Darnell and then Skoronski at 10, I guess. Is that if you're fine with that?
Yep.
Obviously, the links have all been there. There's been a lot of steam around this. There's been sources that have come out and said Eagles are going offensive line, which doesn't mean a specific player, but this is a good fit. If he's there, I feel like he comes off the board. And then we're kind of in a goofy spot for a team that early mocks were really heavy on going offensive tackle here. And now we got 3 offensive tackles gone. Do you want to start over again?
I think you just go Stroud. Or no, I think you go, oh man. I would say Stroud, Richardson, back to back. I mean, I would say Stroud and then not. I don't know about Richardson.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they.
Stroud definitely here.
Okay, we can go Stroud. Not where I would have mocked him a month ago, obviously. And then the Texans are now sitting here without a quarterback. They went defense first. Like,
actually, not Bijan. I think.
No, I'm not taking Bijan here. You want to go Hooker or you want to go Anderson? Or I keep saying Anderson.
Ooh.
Richardson.
Let's go Hooker.
No, we're not doing it. Are you doing gut?
Oh, okay.
Then go. I feel like we could trade back.
Yeah, I mean, if they're taking a QB, they're probably trading back in. Yeah, I guess Richardson's fine.
Yeah, Richardson or a wideout. I don't know what's the mock say. What's the draft chat say? If they no JSN, no Flowers, no nothing wide receiver here. If there's a quarterback still on the board,
it's
we got to wait a pick to get a wide receiver.
It'd be insane to take a wide receiver here if they didn't take a quarterback at 2.
Yeah, they don't have a quarterback at this point. Although they did have that statement they released saying that they can basically do whatever they want. So I lost my tab. All right, fine. We'll go Richardson. All right, wide receiver or tight end?
So the JSN makes a lot of sense with the trade, but then you hear guys like McShay saying they could take a tight end still. And to me, I would lean JSN, but then today, like the Flowers hype.
There's a ton of Flowers hype.
I think Kincaid's fair here, Mayer. This is like a crazy spot that a lot makes sense. And I also don't. And I think people are crediting the Packers too much. Like, I think we're just assuming that the Packers swapped with the Jets because there was a guy that they wanted, which there very well could be.
I drafted Kincaid.
All right, that's fine.
Just piss off the Golden Domers.
Here, I want Bijan. Bijan, which
strong steam on both tight ends throughout the process. One was, I think, ETR had a release on one. Somebody else who does some good draft prop stuff, has some informational stuff, released Kincaid earlier. Like, you've seen this swing both ways. I think it's a lot closer than the odds portrayed at any point. I think it's a toss-up.
And then Silva had which is, I love it every year when he has like his 10 draft takes, which one of them, which he was the Michael Mayer's team. He's a Notre Dame homer.
Yeah.
But his prediction based off of, I'm assuming it's what Zerline said on their podcast, is that Kincaid and I think it was Joey Porter fall further than what everyone thinks, which also with the trade at this pick, there was part of me that debated whether going from 15 to 13 was too rich to take a tight end. But then you see McShay saying that they did that because they thought the Patriots had interest in a tight end, which I think would be Mayer if it was the Patriots, like clearly. But.
Yeah. And it's weird because I don't believe the Packers or the Patriots I don't like their track records in first rounds. I don't like what they do. And my hot take a month ago, just in the draft chat, not a month ago, a couple weeks ago, was that I said Kincaid first tight end off the board at 37. I'm looking for an under 0.5 tight ends. Like this, I don't understand the teams that are enamored with it. They're both very good tight ends. You don't win a Super Bowl by going and finding the next Kyle Rudolph, guys. I don't understand the thought process behind there. Like, you're not gonna go find Travis Kelce. Like, that shit just doesn't happen. He's a one of one, guys.
Yeah.
Just like, there's one of those guys every 10 years, if that. So I don't love this pick, but I clicked it anyway just to piss off the people that wanted JSN, which I don't think would be a terrible spot anyway. Like, we've gone wide receiver earlier in this, so it's not the strongest class, but it's not like
just think about we had Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jameson Williams go 11, 12, and 13 last year. You're telling me that JSN and maybe Zay should go in that same range of those guys? Where like that is like the best example of how this class is weaker. Just looking at who went in the same ranges that the consensus is for the wide receivers last year and the year before, probably. which is just it's just not the same. But
This
that's
is interesting too. If you think Stroud drops, there are alt markets on this sort of stuff. I saw Stroud over 10.5, and I saw Stroud over 15.5. If you want to get weird with it, so the Patriots are up, and you're a
shout
Boston
out.
boy.
This is
I'm
a
gonna
shout
let you
out to the
draft this one.
Discord. I think it was RC Montgomery, definitely Montgomery, but he's great. And one of his, I don't want to like mush his bet, but he was saying Patriots running back is live, and that he said trade back, like for a team that always trades back, they're also live to take Gibbs, which would be first position, and they're crazy odds. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't tail him on this. But Bijan, you got run first. I am buying into the trade up and trading Mac Jones, all for that. But Bijan at 14, like at this point, he's falling. Yeah.
You want him? Take
Yeah.
It's your team.
Bijan.
Okay. Which puts us in a unique position. If you look at the team on the board and you look at the rumors that we've had today, we got the Jets on the board and we got Jackson. Oh man, I should not say his whole. I'm just so bad at saying his last name. I'm just gonna know him Jackson Smith. That's a lot easier.
JSN's easy. For someone who butchers
JSN.
names, JSN is what I've been rolling with.
It is so much easier. So, like, yeah, the Bijan thing can happen at any time, and it feels like it's going to be a team that we see do things like this that are unique. Like the Patriots are going to take someone you don't think they were going to take 9 times out of 10, which is annoying for trying to predict them, but I don't hate it. I'll let you have it because you're the Patriots guy. All right, do you just want to go Jackson Smith here?
Well,
We've
I am
gone
not uncertain that Jeremiah went O-line here in his mock that is not out yet. And when you get Aaron Rodgers, which happened before the draft, to me, it's just like you got Aaron Rodgers, you got to go tackle. Like there's just.
I know. Do you want to get Jones?
I'd say Broderick. Yeah, Broderick was the consensus.
Okay. We're at pick 16.
Holland.
No wide receivers off the board.
This one.
This is anybody who's ever made a mock. This is where it's so hard. You do this and you have to start all over so many times. Like obviously we're not going to anymore, but like you just have all these problems where it's like, oh no, like what did I do? I'm at 20. This guy's over under is like 10.5. I'm sitting on a guy here that's he should have been drafted by now, and he doesn't really fit at any point unless you want to, unless you want to give him to the Lions. So I'm going to pretend there's a trade up here eventually. If JSN is on the board at 16, 17, 18, we are getting calls. All those teams are getting calls from the Giants. Like, there's whatever wide receiver they want. I think there's going to be calls from the Giants anyway to trade out of their spot, move up and get somebody. So yeah, we have Gonzalez still on the board. Like that's happening here, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I forgot he was there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, or it was just consensus at 6 and 8. We were doing two corners. So all right, we'll go Gonzalez. Puts us at the Steelers, there's been rumors of them trading up.
Yeah, I would just go Anton here. He was one of the few guys that they had top 30 visits, which Tomlin tells everyone his pick. And 30 visits are very correlated with that, where we don't really know who they're taking, and it definitely gives legs to the whole trade up rumor, because if we don't know at this point, kind of makes the whole trade up rumor like he's just telling us that they're trading up have legs. But it's like Anton, Breesy, Ringo, there's a couple others that were like the top 30 visits that were like first round worthy that you can.
I like the guys who are putting in the odds for stuff that we're coming up with too. New England running back first pick is 20-1 on FanDuel.
Montgomery, I hope he's watching. All credit to him. And the amount of times I've just went into first position odds for the Patriots and just clicked the bottom 3 longest odds, which doesn't have punter, is a lot because we just never know.
Yeah. All right. The Lions are on the board. I really thought this was going to be a big defensive lineman for a long time, but it feels like we kind of And I'm going to preface this saying, like, I really think the Lions trade back with the Giants if this is the case. Like, there's a lot of teams that probably could get a decent haul from New York if they were to trade back at this spot. But should we just put a wide receiver here as a bookmark?
I was gonna say Mayor. Like, and we heard a couple things about the Lions having interest in trading back for a tight end. I think
under
under
0.5 wide receivers first.
I'm honestly not agreeing with you about JSN falling in this range. Like, I don't think it's crazy. Like, I think
it's not crazy. It's a weak wide receiver class. Like, the over under for wide receivers is 3.5. That's usually 5.5. Like, for many years in a row, I feel like it was a heavy 4.5 or always 5.5. Like, the fact that it's sitting where it is speaks to this wide receiver class. I'm getting antsy.
Because if he doesn't go to the Texans or the Packers, like, the next 5 to 10 teams aren't, like, until the Seahawks aren't wide receiver spots.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to see a trade up because there's 2 or 3 teams. You're not. It's not like you're not trading into the top 5. All right, I'll give you Meyer here then.
Right. Which that would be a hit. Oh, Discord got that one too, I think. Bucks. So this is first positional odds, Bucks D line.
Yeah.
This is where it has value because this is the scenario that all the big tackles are off the board, and it's offensive line, defensive line. I think are the 2 favorites, or should be.
Yeah. But you have interior guys that are kind of in this range. Smith has been mocked a lot in this range. Breezy.
Got Van Ness still on the board.
Yeah. Van Ness is as well from
Miles
more
Murphy.
of an edge position. So,
I would bet D-line.
Should we go Van Ness? I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Edge isn't huge, but everyone always needs edge. What's the draft saying here? Or what's the draft? What's the chat saying? Fuck it, we'll go Van Ness.
Yeah.
Okay. I like him in that spot. All right, we're getting to the spot where some of these teams are on their second pick. The Seahawks have taken Jalen Carter in this unique mock that we're gutting, and now we're on the board again.
I think
in kind of a weird spot.
We can get rid of JSN, I think, here.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? You have a really good wide receiving core now. You have a true third guy.
God, I hate. Yeah. Like, we're at the point we don't need to include the Dolphins. Like, everyone knows.
This makes you so mad. I like it in there because I like to see 32. I like to see
the mocks that count it, where they put Chargers with the 22, like the 22nd pick. It just infuriates me because when I'm entering the mocks on my sheet, like, I have to like subtract. Idiots.
I know.
I think Addison right here is solid. Like,
oh, you only wanted to go to 20, and suddenly we're just going all the way. I like it. Okay. Yep. They need a wideout. We have like 3 teams. They could all take wideouts. They could all take corners. Like, what are you doing? And I do think there is something. It's a stupid narrative, but
the corners are on the board. We got Porter, Forbes, and Banks.
Yeah. So if you're trying to lure your quarterback back, corners are nice, but especially if Addison doesn't go there, like, is this a Zay Flowers spot? Is this a Quentin Johnson spot? If you want to do wide receiver, you want to do corner.
I think corner. I was going to go corner for my undefeated
Banks or Porter. Flip a coin kind of for me. I'll go Porter.
Banks. All right, Porter. You can go Porter. I think corner goes again. But I would say, man, uncertain about Forbes being cornerback 3 in DJ's mock tonight. I'm very uncertain about that, but I'm not certain. Forbes, I think, is just surging. Zay Flowers is definitely catching heat today. I think DJ said he was a dark horse for Zay being wide receiver 1, which out of all my over-under bets, that's probably the one I'm a little jitters on.
You just drafted him.
That's fine. Still wins at that point. But
Minnesota, I think it's going to be a really big coin toss between wide receiver, corner.
That's your squad.
And yeah, it's kind of my squad, so I went there.
Jag-
Jaguars. You want to do an interior line? We haven't really done an interior. I guess you can count Skoronski a little. Should we do interior offensive line? Who's there? Osiris Torrance, the center from Minnesota, Avila. Is this an Avila landing spot?
So the problem is we still have Banks on the board, which I'm doing all of this off the top of my head, not seeing who's available. FYI, I would go Banks here, auto.
Okay.
Even though, from what we heard, is if Torrance would be the play if those. I'm assuming if those guys are off the board.
They do need. I mean, they do need defensive secondary help too. There's a few high needs here. Which again, I had the Giants trading up. This is not really their pick because they do need a wide receiver, and now we've taken a couple off the board. But do you want to just go wide receiver, or should we help out Daniel Jones with an interior
I would
lineman?
say I think Quentin's safe, which goes back to Schrager getting all those texts saying,
Yep.
which his under has gotten hit today, which we're leading up to the draft. Like people are just scooping value. Like if you're on the over 24.5, like you're fine. Like you're not fine, but like I wouldn't be hedging.
Yeah, and I did see this too, Patrick. We're seeing Torrance to the Jags mocked a few times.
Which
I don't hate the fit.
yes, don't either, which is what we've heard too. But I think we've also seen Banks having steam there from the beat, which I think most scenarios don't have Banks falling to 24.
Which should we go? The Tulsa running back or Tank Bigsby here? I don't know what I don't have a good read on what the Cowboys are doing.
I think Gibbs is safe. Gibbs to the Bengals is what everyone's saying, but I would say Gibbs or let's go Gibbs.
Okay. 2 running backs. I still think I want to market for no running backs, no tight ends at like 100 to 1. I'd need more than that, I guess. And then you get into the weird spot. Like these last 5 picks get traded so often. Teams trading out. These are teams that don't have huge needs because they're good, unless you count the Saints, who got this pick via trade from San Francisco. So kind of a weird spot. Whatever. These don't matter as much. Let's just
I'd go Maisie, however the hell you pronounce it. Ooh, I'd go Branch.
I'd just say Smith.
I like Branch or Smith. Either are you.
I have a decent chance Branch falls out of the first round. No safeties taken. That sometimes will happen. Both tight ends are off the board. Both running backs are off the board.
Forbes.
At this point, big. Yeah,
Forbes.
You either go big interior or you go with a corner. So,
Forbes.
Why can I never find a corner on this pop-up? So, all right, I'm fine with Forbes. Saints, lots of needs.
I think Yancey if he's there.
Like that. Eagles already have a pick. Who did we give them in this one? We gave them an offensive lineman. We gave them Skoronski. So they've already taken an offensive lineman at this point. Interior offensive lineman, defensive help, secondary help. I don't think we're seeing a second safety come off the board. Osiris, John Michael Schmitz.
I mean, I would honestly, I'd probably go Murphy. I don't think he's going to get here. If you look at mocks, he's just tumbling. But I think he's one of the guys that everyone's just wrong about. And then probably McDonald is probably just auto here because he's the last guy that seems like which I think I saw DJ or no, I don't know if I saw a mock today, or maybe it was Silva or something like hyping McDonald in like at pick 10, which Zerline weeks ago was saying he thinks he's going to go way earlier because he just forgot to put him in his last mock at 31.
I do want to give some respect to Chris Collinsworth. He had the Chiefs taking a quarterback here,
which I don't think he's this smart. But I think if you see anyone, and maybe this is what he was doing, but I think he was just putting a quarterback there.
Yeah, as a play, it has to be. That is the only Chris Collinsworth is not an idiot. I like the guy. Yeah. I just feel like he said he should have put just the NFL logo and just said somebody trades here and takes Hooker. Instead of it just galling looking and seeing the Chiefs taking a quarterback that's not correct. So,
and I'm not saying he's doing this.
I'm fine with that move.
So Collinsworth isn't doing this, but it is something to keep watch out for, where how the mock draft ratings work after and like the grading from all the sites is you get X amount of points if you nail player to team. You get a little bit less if it's position to team, and then like a few points less if you get like within a range. You will see
if you draft a guy within 3 spots of where he falls, you get points. If you say you draft 4 corners and they're in the right order, you get points for that each time by having them in the right order for their positional group. So that is the thing we haven't brought up at all on this show, I don't think, Luke, is there's people who make mocks, and I do believe the second half of their mocks are strictly trying to game the point system.
Correct.
So that the next year they can put it in their Twitter bio that I was a top 5 mock drafter the last few years, because there is like, hey, I just got to get this guy within 3 spots and I have to have him as the 4th cornerback because that's where I think the position group goes and I get points for that.
Especially when
going back and grading it is a huge pain in the ass. Honestly.
And especially when teams have 2 first-round picks where they'll give like the Eagles a defensive lineman at 10 and then a defensive lineman at 30, where like the odds are they're going to take a defensive lineman at one of them, so that they're basically kind of hedging their bet and getting the points, where there's ways to manipulate it. And if guys don't make total sense, you can factor, like they might be just projecting a trade, or they put like 3 defensive linemen in a row where like one of them will hit because that's their range. I mean, I don't think it's common. But yeah, it's worth.
Fair enough. All right, let's close it out then. You want to go DeWan or you want to go Hooker? Should we pull it Collinsworth?
I would go McDonald.
Okay, I got to scroll up.
Yeah.
Will McDonald, the 4th, Iowa State. Did you do anything with over-unders on conferences and stuff? What were those?
I think.
Let's go big. What was big? What was ACC?
That's like, I think the over is 3.5.
All right, I haven't seen one yet. We don't count Notre Dame, do we? Even though that's basketball.
I believe so.
All right. 1, Boston College. I almost counted Maryland. That's the Big Ten now. ACC 2, 3. Oh man, we would have been sweating it.
I think I think the under offensive lineman might have hit too.
Yeah. So we went. We did kind of get weird at the end with offensive linemen. We went. Did we do somebody early, or we just go tackle? We went Johnson, Darnell, Skoronski. That's 3, 4 with Jones, 5 with Harrison. 5.5 is minus 550. So I think that's kind of where we fucked up at the end too. Somebody in this range is probably taking Osiris or John Michael Schmitz or somebody else, or somebody gets weird with an offensive lineman. That's probably a mistake on our end. There's somebody that's going to take an offensive lineman. How many Bama players did we go with? So it is.
But like if
Bryce will too.
So like if the over, like now that Gibbs is favored to go in the 1st, like that is a spot for an offensive lineman that might be taken, where if tight ends goes over, like O-line might be the one that's sacrificed. Where like Gibbs going to the Cowboys is one that it might have been an offensive lineman or defensive lineman spot that basically pushes everything back.
Well, and I mean, even just in the final 5 there, the Bengals adding another offensive lineman, or somebody trading in these spots, the Saints taking a lineman, the Chiefs taking a lineman. Like there's so many teams that could, would, maybe should. Obviously the Jaguars is probably the big one that we missed on by giving them Banks, which I don't hate as a pick either. So I don't know. The ACC was under though, unless I missed somebody early, because we got it's strong SEC. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think it tells
5, 6.
Oh no, you just
7. I'm going to count Texas as SEC. Kidding. 8. Then it goes well. 9, 10, 11 SEC players. I don't know what the total was for that.
And just to, I'm looking at the comments. Yeah, Hooker didn't go round 1. I'm never going to put Hooker in the round 1 in principle, but if there is a year, a guy like Hooker that is compared to the Ritters hyped in the past that fell out, this would be the year that they probably go, because as you've heard, it's a weak ass class. And then you have his ACL with the 5th-year option, but the trade-off in taking a guy like Hooker in the first isn't as great based off of the talent compared to years past, where a guy you're taking in the 20s last year is a lot better than a guy that you're taking in the 20s this year. So it does feel like a team isn't sacrificing as much by taking a Hooker compared to years past, which is what everyone's using about the QB that's been hyped to get in the first round. That doesn't every year. This year does feel like somewhat of an outlier because it is considered a lot worse than others, which I am not betting Hooker round 1. I'm not betting over quarterbacks, just not betting at all. It's just,
Yeah, in ours, under 4.5 quarterbacks cashed at a plus number, over 1.5 running backs cashed at like minus 200. SEC players, somebody just let us know, it's 11.5. Tight ends, 2.5 a lot of places, but you can bet over 2 some places. Wide receiver, 3.5. Did we get a third one or a fourth one? I think we went with just the 3.
No, we got them all.
Johnson, Zay, Addis. Oh, we did go 4. So we just got there with the 4th wide receiver. And then I don't know if there's a bunch of other, then you have like exact position stuff. I'm not going to go through everything on like what price cashed on those, but Minnesota, if you go look at the odds, cornerback and wide receiver kind of co-favorites. Like a lot of this stuff isn't too far off, I guess.
Matt Porter, actually, Anderson went 3, so it is not an undefeated scenario, even though it should have been. FYI.
Yeah. We started, and maybe you left, and this is Stankman, the Stankman, the one and only Stankman. Point Breezy at 29.5 seems like an easy over. There's something about the over-under positions once you get past 20, where there's so much fuckery. Where there's so many teams you don't get all these great reports on what these teams are doing because they can't really make their choices. If you're the Texans and you really do believe Bryce Young is going, you have the entire board then. So there's strong reports about what you're doing. If you're the Lions, there's only going to be 4 or 5 guys. There's going to be 5 guys off the board at that point. Somebody forfeits a pick here. You can make some good guesses, and people can ask the right questions, but once you get down the board, you just don't get a good feeling for who some of these teams are actually looking at. They have to take a ton of visits. They zone in on positional groups. I'm actually with you. I do think Breesy falls out of the first at this point. My final mock will have him in the second round as well.
Yeah, when's that coming out?
Tomorrow. Final mock. It's like 80% done, but like you said, it's so hard because what do you do with a problem like Jalen Carter?
Yeah,
it's very tricky. I'm going to drop him. I am actually going to drop him at that point too. So, we needed more offensive linemen. I think that was our big mistake there. Although I'm pretty happy with the mock.
Cool. Alrighty.
And I did accidentally choose the option to do 2 rounds. So who do you got at 32 then?
Ringo.
Steelers are on the board. We're going back.
Ringo.
That's one of the, and this was years ago. And since then, I've definitely placed bigger bets. But this was five dimes was still legal, but they really didn't have limits. It seems like they would take a lot of money and they would take rebets on stuff. And I think it was Cincinnati, maybe the Burrow year then, where they were drafting in the first round, or they had the first pick of the second day, and 5 dimes hung a number and just let you keep rebetting it on. I believe we went offensive player because the number was too light. It was offense or defense for the 33rd pick, and they just let you keep rebetting. And we had some, I don't know if it was a source or somebody was just really, really sure. And we put a shitload of money on that because you just won money in the first round. And and then you sit there and have to wait until the whole damn next day. You sweat that. We were sweating just basically, will they take an offensive lineman, I believe was the thing. So
true. Alrighty.
I don't know if teams will give you CLV on the cash out. That would be great.
Yeah.
You should get DK crowns for it. Okay, look at all this CLV. We'll give you crowns.
Shout out to YG, a buddy of mine with the draft, was destroying that CLV with cash outs and got shut down real quick. Count closed, done. Which I get it. It's like basically trading, like you're just trading stocks at that point. But like,
yeah,
that is with an insanely sensitive market. Cashing out many times on draft props is probably, if you want to keep the account, not the smartest, or
just an YG.
But cool. All right, that's a wrap.
That is a wrap. And that's it for the 5th-year option. We'll see you guys, everybody. Let's watch the draft. Let's make some money.
We'll see you for the NBA draft.
Yeah, we will. Season 2, the association.